5 people. Just hold it that way. Can you see yourself? Okay. I have to go to speech for 4 minutes. Okay. So my name is Tina. I am here to talk about my son Elijah and what led us to the University of Iowa Stand Family Children's Hospital, and kind of about Elijah and his medical needs. I'll try to be brief, and I'll try to summarize it down, squash it down as much as I can because it is a little bit long. Elijah was born at 40 weeks and 5 days. I had a relatively normal pregnancy. It was full of throwing up because I had hyperemesis gravidarum, all the joys of that. I miscarried before him, and it took us six and a half years to get pregnant with him. So when we did find out we were pregnant, we both kind of looked at each other and were like, how did this happen? What? Blah, blah, blah. So we were really excited when he progressed, and as my pregnancy continued on, we were really excited. When he was born at, like I said, 40 weeks and 5 days, he had meconium present. We figured he'd aspirated that. That's why when they did x-rays, they saw streakiness in his lungs. That's all we thought it was. He had a couple days in the NICU. They did x-rays. They said, okay, antibiotics are fine, go home. At about 16 months, he'd had a relatively normal until 16 months. He'd had a fever. I figured it was all 4 eye teeth coming in. We didn't think anything of it. After the fever didn't go away, after Tylenol and ibuprofen, we decided to call Ask a Nurse because he went limp and kind of listless, and that was not our kid at all. He's very active. He's very all over the place. He went limp. We took him to the ER. The ER said they heard a murmur. The murmur was then heard by his regular pediatrician, who sent us down to Waterloo. They sent us up to Iowa City, and Iowa City said, hey, his Holter monitor test showed us that his heart rate gets down into the 30s when he's asleep, but only into the 90s when he's upset. He has complete heart block. He has a PDA that has not closed. It's leaking blood into his lungs. We're surprised he's still upright. He's pink. He's relatively healthy. So they did PDA ligation because his PDA was so large. They thought they'd go in via the groin with a balloon to close it, but they couldn't do that because it was so big, so they just went in, clamped it, and cut it off, clamped it shut. After that, they put in a dual lead epicardial pacemaker into his abdomen. He's had that for, I want to say 7, almost 8 years. He's got about 5-ish years left on that. He has ADHD, sensory processing disorder, anxiety, OCD. He's on the spectrum. We all figured that was just because of surgery. However, we had a doctor's appointment recently that we've discovered he has ventricular dysfunction. Your heart rate normally when it squeezes is supposed to get to about 60% of the blood is supposed to leave your heart when it pumps. His is down to 48.5. So he's now on beta blockers to try to help that. If that does not work, we find that out in June or July if it does or not. If that does not work, then we will have surgery again to place a 3rd lead. That's kind of, in a nutshell, kind of what led us to the hospital. The hospital's been really great with all of the appointments. We're down there for several specialists. We've worked with the genetics department because he has a genetic deletion that they've not seen in humans before, so we're kind of all over the place down there. It's been really nice to get all of our care in one place and have him seen by the same team that's followed him since he was little. So they're really, really important to us as a family, and they're very important to Eli. He tends to call that his hospital, and I haven't ever corrected him because it's true, it is his hospital. So I wanted to thank you all for sitting here and listening to me kind of blather on about my kid, but he's pretty important, and thank you so much.